All right, hello and welcome. You've reached another Diamond Report Live. It's Doug Diamond here. Hope you guys have had a happy new year thus far. It is 10:05 p.m. Central Time on January 7th, 2024. So here we are, a new year. So did you guys have a good holiday, a good Christmas with family, good New Year's celebrations? Anyway, hopefully you did, and I know we did. It was a little crazy at times, but it was good. It was good. So hope you guys are doing well. I missed you guys last week. Obviously, we did not do a broadcast last week. It was holiday weekend, so we skipped it due to New Year's Eve primarily. That was why, because I was afraid no one would tune in live on a New Year's Eve type of situation. I think I probably would have been right on that. But anyway, yeah, let's get into the news. We've got some stuff to look at, and this page that I've got pulled up here, you may have seen it, and Greg actually showed it in that last video that we watched, and I think it's kind of interesting, but for a different reason. Not really all of the spending. The U.S. debt clock, obviously, $34 trillion and counting. It's pretty amazing. USDebtClock.org is where this is. The thing I want to show you is actually a little button that's in the upper right corner, and in order to see it, I'm going to have to turn off my logo and other information here in the corner. So let me do that, and I will show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So it'll take just a second. The button in the upper right corner says secret window. You see that? And if you click on it, this is a new feature that's been added to the US debt clock, and people are trying to figure out what in the world's going on. Why is this even on here? So if you didn't know about this, go to the website usdebtclock.org and have a look at this yourself. And I'm going to show you a couple articles on this. So the secret window, if you click it, this is what it says at the moment, and this is changing pretty much daily. And Jesus went into the temple of God and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers. And it's got a picture of the U.S. government and the Fed right there. So amen to that. Couldn't have said it better myself, for sure. Anyway, I think it's kind of interesting. It's got the Christian symbol up here as well. So this is just this week's message in the secret window that's not so secret. So we're going to click on it to close it. And what I was going to show you, though, was a couple of other articles that I'm going to link to in the Substack post that I send out tomorrow to everybody. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my Substack. I'm now well in the several hundred, so thank you guys who have jumped on that list. As you know, it is completely free, and if you want the links on the articles and some of the videos and stuff that I show tonight, it's best to be on that list, because then I can keep in touch with you guys. And also, we've got the free group going on in Band. And Band, many people don't know about Band. What is Band? Band is a social media platform. We'll look at it in a little bit, probably toward the end of the broadcast, and we'll go through Band a little bit closer, and I'll explain a little bit more on that. But as far as this article, though, U.S. Debt Clock secret window messages, this is kind of one I wanted to show you guys. A friend of mine, thanks to Brian, showed me this. I was not aware of this. I'd seen the U.S. Debt Clock website that I just showed you, but this is a whole article talking about the secret window that's not so secret, and it goes into some of the details behind it and a little bit of the history as far as the website goes. But you can see this is fairly, I would say, involved. There's a lot of information here on this website. Common Law America. It's a WordPress site. But anyway, it's got a lot of interesting info here about each and every one of the secret messages that they're putting on here, and people are trying to figure out what's going on with it. Why is this even happening? Why are people doing this? And many of the pictures have this Thomas X or Thomas 10 at the bottoms of the image that's shown. And here's an example of that. And this is what people are saying that's in reference to the Gospel of Thomas, which of course is not a canonized version, a canonized book of the Bible, the Gospel of Thomas, verse 10, I have cast fire upon the world, and see, I am guarding it until it blazes. So people are, on this website, they are sort of, coming up with their own ideas as to what this whole secret window thing's about. And I'll let you guys look into this if you're interested. I don't want to spend too much time on this. But there's page 1, and then here's page 2. Page 2 is starting with January 2nd, 2024, and some of the new images that are popping up on there this year so far. You can see one there from January 2nd. Ponzi Scheme Awards, U.S. Federal Reserve. So, somebody out there, whoever's doing this, is putting out some truth. So I just thought it was kind of interesting and worth bringing up to you guys. So, yeah. Very strange, very strange. Anyway, let's take a look at the news. We've got some different things to look at. As you guys know, I usually start with HalTurnerRadioShow.com, and we'll do that here as well. Although I will say that Hal has, just in the course of the last few days or weeks or so, has pretty much shut off all public access to his articles. So you can only get it if you're a subscriber. So I can't show it to you because I'm a subscriber, but I can't show you his information, obviously. So what I wanted to do was just, we'll go through the headlines, and if you guys are interested in these things, beyond what I can read to you that's public information here on the homepage, you'll have to subscribe. And I think he did that for several different reasons, but I won't get into that now, but I do kind of understand where he's going with it. And, it's still really good information and still a good website to go visit. If you're a subscriber, you can do it for very, very cheaply. He says it's $1 a week is what it runs. Myself and many other people choose to give more than that, but that's kind of where it starts as far as subscriptions go. So the first article he has here, Costco, not Costco, but Costco, halts all shipments to and from Israel. China Ocean Shipping Company, Costco, which controls 5.2% of the global ocean shipping capacity, announced today it is halting all shipments to and from Israel due to hazards transiting the Red Sea. And we've talked a lot about the Red Sea on here, and I know Hal's talked a lot about it on his show as well. The Houthis are basically shutting it down. They're keeping these shipping companies, rightfully so. They're too scared to go into the waters. I guess you could call it a parting of the Red Sea, because many of the shipping companies are they're too afraid to go and to send their ships through there for fear of being sank, or if not being sank or sunk, whichever the actual correct term is. I guess it's probably sunk. Whichever the case may be, they could get boarded and overtaken, or they could be sunk. So obviously most businesses are not going to take that sort of chance. So yeah, this is the China Ocean Shipping Company is basically saying they're stopping. So pretty important though. So we'll take a look at a few more of the headlines here on Hal's website. Israel's Likud party member says we must annihilate all Gazans. So he's out there saying that never again, they cry, referring to the slaughter of the Jews by Nazis. Yet the very same people who cried never again are out on TV saying annihilate all Gazans. The irony is rich. So you guys know what I've been saying about this whole Israel and Gaza thing all along. If you're new to the show, I'm not taking sides. I don't like either side. I'm on God's side. And, this whole thing is just mostly a genocide at this point. And it's Israel having their way with the Palestinians and literally murdering people. So, and then the next article I've got here is Czech-made rocket debris recovered in Belgorod after the attack. There was a missile attack in Russia not too long ago. On December 30th, it says, Ukraine fired Grad, G-R-A-D, MLRS rockets into the city center of Belgorod, Russia, killing 18 people and injuring 111 others. And Hal talked about that attack on his website and radio show. So we've got a subscribers-only thing here, covert intel on panic in the Ukraine. And I thought this was kind of interesting. China builds mock-up of U.S. aircraft carrier for missile hit drills. China has built a to-scale model of the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier and placed a mock-up in the desert. China's People's Liberation Army is using the mock-up for missile strike exercises to practice their targeting skills. So you can see the real one versus their mock-up in the desert, in the sand. And we'll get to this one here in a minute. I've got this article pulled up on a different tab. But the FAA is grounding all 737 MAX 9 aircraft after the doors blow out in flight on an Alaska Airways flight. Little concerning there, especially if you're someone who flies a lot. And then retaliation begins. Hezbollah fires 62 missiles, hits Israeli base severely. So, anyway, this is, again, on Hal's website, but unfortunately, unless you're a subscriber, you won't be able to see very much on there. However, I still want to point it out because I still think that Hal's doing really good information, really good work, and really puts out really good info here on his website as well as his radio show. So, anyway, that's Hal's site. Let's take a look at the needtoknow.news site that I always like to look at as well. This is G. Edward Griffin's website, and the whole Epstein thing has come about recently. We'll talk about that on and off throughout the broadcast tonight. And this one also is from his site. George Soros reportedly to have been swatted at his New York estate. I thought, how appropriate. Very interesting. The Southampton Village, New York estate of leftist George Soros, who's 93, was reportedly swatted on Saturday, adding the billionaire to a list of other high-profile people who have become victims of the 911 prank over the past couple of weeks. Most of the people swatted have been conservatives. So it does make you wonder. If that's true, I wonder who did it and exactly why. What are they trying to prove? Usually you're doing that, the leftists are doing that, as far as I can tell, in the hopes of getting whoever they're having swatted killed. Because if somebody goes to the door with a gun, obviously the agents, whoever they are going to have their guns drawn as well, and there's a really good chance of gunfire being exchanged. So that's the whole purpose of swatting somebody, is you're trying to enact the death by cop protocol. So I don't condone this. I'm just saying it's interesting that George Soros has reportedly been swatted at his New York estate. Wow. Pretty wild. Doctor says quitting sugar can stop most chronic diseases. So if you're like me and most people, probably had too much sugar over the course of the holidays. So this is a very appropriate and timely article. Dr. Robert Lustig, MD, is a retired professor at the University of California, San Francisco, and specializes in the field of neuroendocrinology. He explained the dangers of consuming sugar and said that it poisons mitochondria that causes a decrease in the energy that powers our cells. Sugar is not a food because it inhibits growth and energy production. Lustig says that sugar feeds cancer, and I've heard that for years, by the way. It feeds cancer, and it dramatically raises the risk for Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, and other metabolic diseases. He said that if people eat a real food diet, most chronic diseases go away, something that we've talked about for years and years on Lost Arts Radio. So, and then it says, Dr. Lustig said that in the 1960s, the sugar industry paid $6,500 to Fred Stair, not Fred Astaire, but Fred Stair, the chairman of the Department of Nutrition at the Harvard School of Public Health, and his associate, Mark Hegstad, who later became the head of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, to exonerate sugar and instead blame saturated fat for negative health effects. They were paid to write false review articles in the New England Journal of Medicine that were peer-reviewed. So for those who are still loving these peer-reviewed papers, you can pretty much just always throw them in the garbage because they're bought and paid for. That's why I don't trust the peer-reviewed papers of any kind. I'll trust the science when the science can't be bought. Plain and simple. Words to live by. So yeah, $6,500, that was quite an investment, huh? Back in the 60s. Basically just stating that sugar is not to be blamed and saturated fat should be. So anyway, there's a video here embedded, a couple of them embedded here on on this page. I would invite you to take a look at that if you're interested. But health is a very important thing. Yeah, it's something that we all need to take into consideration, and having too much sugar in your diet is definitely not a good thing. All right, now here's the other thing I mentioned a little bit ago. Alaska Airlines 737-9 MAX exit door plug separates in flight. Alaska Airlines mid-cabin exit door plug separates in flight. Aircraft was diverted back to Portland. No injuries reported. Yeah, I guess there was no one sitting right there at the exit where that door, where the door, or whatever it was, the exit door plug separated. It says the rear mid-cabin exit door assembly separated from an Alaska Airlines 737-9 MAX minutes after takeoff from Portland on January 5th. The aircraft departed Portland bound for Ontario and reached maximum altitude of 16,000 feet. It diverted safely back to Portland, landing at 1726, reaching the gate at 1730. The flight was carrying 171 passengers and 6 crew. So you can see the loop that it made there. This is on flight radar. According to granular ADS-B data received from the aircraft, this is the different times. And then rear cabin, it's the rear mid-cabin exit door. It says the Boeing includes a rear cabin exit door aft of the wings, but before the rear exit door. This is activated in dense seating configurations to meet evacuation requirements. They are almost evacuated mid-flight. The doors are not activated on Alaska Airlines aircraft and are permanently plugged. The door position in question is highlighted below inside the red circle, so you can see it there. So yeah, just went smashing open in the middle of flight. So that's not good. Anyway, apparently they've grounded all these types of planes. So way to go, Boeing, making high quality stuff here. Anyway, yeah, and then Hal had a story on that as well, which again we can't really look at that, but you can, if you're a subscriber, you certainly can. You can read through the door blowing out in flight. So not good. David Soul, the beloved Starsky and Hutch actor, dead at 80, and we don't really know exactly why. Said he had a long battle with. Died yesterday after a valiant battle for life in the loving company and family. Well, we don't really know what the battle was. But I had a client who was connected to David Soul. That's why I thought I would bring it up. I won't mention any names. But anyway, it's kind of interesting. If you guys remember Starsky and Hutch, David Soul passed away. I guess that just happened in the last couple days. So that's kind of sad. But it goes right along with the list of everyone else who have died recently, all these celebrities. Not that I care about celebrities, but tonight is the Golden Globes, if you care. I can't imagine you would. I know I don't. But I was just, I thought I would click on this. I saw this particular link coming from this David Soul article. Right here it says, paying tribute to the celebrities who've died in 2023. And I clicked it thinking, okay, that's got to be a really, really long list. Because apparently celebrities did not get the note for the most part. They're not quite in the elitist group that they think they're in, because they didn't get the note not to take the real stuff. They took the real ones and they're dropping dead like flies. So we're not going to go through the whole list, but let me just say there are like 100 and some people on this list. Let's see. What's the normal amount of celebrities dying? Okay, there's 96. What's the normal amount of celebrities dying in 1 year? I mean, you know, you might see it on, not that I ever watch anymore, but years and years ago, I might watch something like, I don't know, a Grammy Awards or something like that. And then I know that's music, but, you know, they might have a few people that they highlight that passed away. Usually it's people, you know, half of them are people you've never heard of. Well, most of this list are going to be people that you've heard of, a lot of them. But yeah, this is upwards of 100 people on this list. And some people I didn't even know about. And you can see that some of them are older, but some of them are younger guys too, in ladies. So it's pretty amazing. So again, you know, you have to take the Panache if you wanted to keep working, right? If you want to keep working in Hollywood, you had to take and multiple boxes. And this, of course, doesn't even reach the subject here of the people who are permanently damaged because of it. So people that we're going through it really fast here, I guess. It doesn't even touch the people who've been injured permanently because of this. But you can see there's definitely some youngsters in there as well as older folks too. So, wow. Anyway, I just thought I would mention it just because I happened to come across that particular article. Speaking of infamous people, right? Michelle Obama White House coup likely underway, Peter Navarro says. Former Trump administration advisor Peter Navarro claims a coup is underway to put the former First Lady Michelle Obama in the White House, replacing President Joe on the November ballot. Navarro warns that all signs point to Biden being replaced as Democrats' candidate this year. The media is quick to write off Navarro's warning as a conspiracy theory. Isn't that handy? But it's obvious Biden is not the best choice for Democrats, and they know it. That's stating the obvious and stating it very ridiculously. Yes, of course he's not the best. I don't think they have any good choices, do you? Not that the Republicans are any better. President Biden will not be on the November ballot, with each new Biden family revelation and new poll finding Trump will beat Biden like a drum. The inevitability of Mr. Biden stepping aside grows, Navarro wrote in the Washington Times. Yet, Mr. Biden will not step aside. I think that's probably true. Before the end of the Democratic primary season, instead, without real opposition, Mr. Biden will be poised to accept his coronation at the DNC in August in Chicago. And it says Navarro contended that Democrat strategists are actively plotting a Biden coup, and that it is part of a parcel of winning a winning November strategy. The theory seems to be gaining traction. And this is obviously they're showing Gavin Newsom here as well in the tweet. But yeah, so I think that's kind of interesting. Who knows what's going to happen? But I mean, I've mentioned that before on the show, that I do think it's entirely possible that Michelle Obama could be. Some call him Big Mike. I don't know either way. I don't really care. But I'm just saying it is interesting that, you figure old Barry, Barack Obama, does not want to be out of power. Currently, he is the president, obviously. No one really questions that at this point. And if they get Joe out of the way, they can put Michelle Obama in instead, and Barack Obama would still be president that way, you see. So he would get a fourth term. So I don't really think it's out of the realm of possibilities. I do think that it's probably more likely that there won't be any election. I think that something probably will happen between now and then to stop that from happening. However, if there is a rigged election, who else would better fit exactly what they're trying to do to rig it in favor of a Michelle Obama or someone like that? So I don't know. But I think it's interesting. You got other people out there talking about that now. So yeah, anyway, let's keep moving here. Technocracy.news. Got a few headline little blurbs here that we can read through. Flashback 2016. Technocracy will rise out of the ashes of Western civilization. This is, I think, probably from the author of the website here on technocracy.news, Patrick Wood, says, when I wrote this in 2016, it largely fell on deaf ears. Now, not so much. When former UN climate czar Christiana Figueres said in 2015 that there was an intention, a timetable, and an action plan in place to kill capitalism, she meant it. She was speaking as a proxy for the Trilateral Commission. The immigration invasion continues to intensify to this day, and 2024 may be the target date for the murder of America. Yeah, very possible. All right, next article that they've got here on technocracy.news. Red alert, a total final obliteration of free speech in 2024. Glenn Beck needs to understand technocracy, but he understands the importance of free speech in America. Here, he exposes the globalist plot to obliterate free speech in 2024. It's true. Not in 2030 or 2026, but in 2024. Technocracy.news featured this story on December 6th. Global censorship strategy. U.S. and U.K. military contractors conspiracy. Glenn is exploding it here. And it says, if you fail to watch and comprehend, then you become part of the problem. So again, that's on technocracy.news. And then one more front and center headline here. When you sit in a digital car, you consent to being recorded and personal data sold. If you own an EV or a digital car, you better watch what you say, because you might be under total surveillance, and that goes for your passengers as well. What? Your data will be sold too? Yep, multiple times to multiple companies. However, there is an easy opt-out fix. Never buy them, never drive them, sit in them, or exist on the street when they drive by. So that makes it nice and simple, huh? Yeah. So if you have an EV, just be aware. You're probably being recorded. You're probably being listened to. You're driving around in a microwave and cell phone, essentially. Churches across Canada destroyed by arson over Christmas. Isn't that nice? As Trudeau looks on. Christian churches have become a major target of arson attacks in Canada, with several being completely destroyed by fires over Christmas. So it talks about some of the different ones. Alberta's fourth church burned to the ground in weeks. This comes after two churches near the town of Barrhead were burned within 1 hour of each other on December 7th. I'm sure it was a coincidence. The burning of St. Aidan's Church and the Pioneer Memorial Church were both results of arson, according to Gary Hove, the fire services chief. The third church that was burned was located on a native reserve in Alberta, in which St. Gabriel Catholic Church was razed to the ground. So, wow. So, churches going up in flames in Canada. I'm sure there are plenty of American people that would be happy about that just as much as, say, Trudeau and others are. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That's on newsaddicts.com is where that is. Leo Hohmann, somebody that I mention often, this is another really good article. The Takedown of America, 10 predictions for 2024. Get ready for tough times with war and economic collapse on the horizon. Very, very possible. I would say I agree 100%. Expect civil unrest to break out in 2024 as globalist elites go for the final takedown of America as we know it in preparation for their satanic digital reset of the world order. Yep. Something that we all talk about all the time. However, it's still news to some people. It's amazing. The year 2023 will go down in history as the point at which the globalists completed the assembly of a massive secret army inside the U.S. in preparation for the final takedown of America, transforming it into America with a K. And this is Leo talking, but by my calculations, there are anywhere from 1.5 million to 5 million foreign soldiers already in the U.S. awaiting orders. My math is based on the government's own statistics for illegals entering the U.S. over the last 3 years, and then I estimated how many were military-age males, using a very conservative number on the low end and moderately conservative numbers on the top end. The more conservative number, 1.5 million, assumes that no foreign agents of military age were already here prior to January 2021, which of course we know cannot be the case, but I wanted to demonstrate just how conservative these numbers are. So in other words, these are super low numbers. 1.5 million. At the very least, super fit males of military age we've seen entering the U.S. as asylum seekers, which has become the new Orwellian term for illegal aliens. It's no longer a secret. You can go on X, formerly Twitter, and watch countless videos of waves of men entering the U.S. with no papers to identify who they are. Even if we go with the ultra-conservative figure of 1.5 million man army now assembled inside the U.S., that's formidable by anyone's standards. Yes, and I don't think he's mentioned the detail here, that they're getting cell phones, many of them. So they're having a communication mechanism put right into their hands as soon as they come in, some of them. So yeah, it says, as far as the list goes, it says, here's a few more of his predictions for 2024. Some are more like trends than predictions. The continued war on free speech and the First Amendment. The continued war on the Second Amendment, obviously. Continued global war on food and fiat currencies. The death of the U.S. dollar will lead to the death of brick and mortar retail, which is partly why it was so effective, getting rid of the mom and pop stores and restaurants and places like that, businesses. Major cyber attacks will target banking and financial sectors. Lawlessness and civil unrest will continue to increase heading up to the November 5th election and beyond. Construction of a wall at the U.S.-Mexico border finally commences in 2024. I disagree with that. I don't think that's going to happen. There are two potential scenarios surrounding Trump. Under scenario A, Trump gets elected in a landslide, but it's never allowed to see the inside of the White House. The regime in Washington calls out BLM and Antifa to set fire to the streets in mostly peaceful protests, and then declares martial law and accuses Trump of being the enemy of the state, who was elected under false pretenses. Well, maybe. MAGA people are rounded up and placed in camps. They put out a warrant for Trump's arrest and maybe have him assassinated by one of their patsies. Under scenario B, Trump loses to Biden or whoever runs in the Democrat ticket because Colorado, Maine, and several other states are trying to remove him from the ballot, or maybe they can keep him off the ballot and stuff ballot boxes with fake votes. Yeah, I think it's a little more complicated given the computerization of the entire voting system, but yeah, it's very possible. Again, it's what I've mentioned before. I think they'll have a rigged election. If there's even going to be an election, I think it would be heavily rigged. They're not going to allow him to win, even if he actually does win. Yeah, either scenario A or B will serve to jumpstart the second American Civil War, so coveted by the billionaire globalist elites. I don't think he's wrong. I think that's a good chance of all of that happening. Continued apostasy of the church and fulfillment of 2 Thessalonians 2:3, and increasing persecution of the true church. Talking about the Pope and so forth. Continued ramping up of the government corporate propaganda campaign to push fear of viruses and sickness. It comes in real handy when you're trying to scare people. Israel and its Muslim enemies will ramp up their war in the Middle East. Yep, there's a good chance of that. Anyway, there's other stuff here on this article. So Leo Hohmann has once again written another really good article, in my opinion. So feel free to look at that if you want. Let's see. This is a video that I started to watch. I didn't really finish it yet, but many of you folks in the audience I know are fans of Now You See TV. This video is called "Could Donald Trump Really Be the Antichrist?" I would say no to that, just given what we've talked about on this show many times at this point. I think Tim Cohen's really onto something with the revealing of the information that he's put forth about King Charles. However, it's certainly worth a watch. I think this I've watched a little bit of this video, and I do think that they do a good job of explaining why they're even bothering to bring it up. So it's certainly worth taking a look at. But Trump does not have the imagery. First and foremost, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the pedigree. He doesn't have the line, the bloodline, and most importantly, I would say in addition to all that stuff, is that his name does not add up to 666. Not in the way that the Bible, the original version of the Bible, so obviously put it as far as calculating the gematria aspect of 666 and what it means. So yeah, and I see Marty's talking about if his book ever comes out. I know, yes, I know. Lots of people are saying they've never gotten the new one. Anyway, so this video, though, is certainly one that I will link to in our Substack post. And there was a question in the chat here as far as, I think maybe I mentioned right before we went to the video, the original Bible. What I was talking about was simply Tim Cohen was talking about it was the Greek version that had the definition of the way in which the gematria calculation for 666, Charles Prince of Wales, the way it's calculated. This is a screenshot from his book, from Tim Cohen's book, Charles Prince of Wales, or Prince Charles of Wales. The order of the words don't really matter. It's the calculation. And this is showing it in English and in Hebrew. So he explains that in multiple videos, and we've looked at that closely before in some of the other videos that I've done. So yeah, it's definitely worth a look. I think that he's definitely onto something, and we can talk about that more later as we go. I do think that Charles is certainly probably the number one candidate out there as far as the biblical Antichrist. Number one, he is over, you have all the stuff that Tim talks about, but he is over the World Economic Forum and everything else that's happening at the globalist level. He's on top. And yeah, he's not exactly the person that we think of when we think of the biblical Antichrist. However, it seems to me that, there's a good chance that we may have the wrong idea as to what his characteristics might be. It's more important what the Bible says about it. And I think that what Tim talks about here, as far as how it fits in with all of the things that he's done over the years, and the imagery and everything that the Book of Revelation talks about, fits perfectly. So I don't know. I mean, it's totally up to you guys whether you want to believe it or not. But we've gone into quite a bit of depth over the last, I don't know, 6 months or more on this show, as far as covering is Charles the guy, and to me it just makes the most sense. So that's why he's the number one person that I'm personally watching, and I think that this whole thing with the Epstein information that's come out about Prince Andrew, and now people are calling for Charles's Charles to abdicate, to basically give up the throne because of this whole thing with Epstein and his brother Andrew and all this. I don't think Charles is going anywhere. There's just no way. I mean, he's talking about an entitled person. King Charles is probably the most entitled person on the entire planet. He thinks that his kingship, his ability to run the world, is something that he's been building his entire life towards. And that now that he's there, starting in September of 2022, when his mother passed away, obviously he thinks that he's entitled to that position, and he's been working pretty much his whole life toward that end. So, yeah, I think that it's something that there's a really good chance that, in my opinion at least, I think that Charles, he may be hassled on this abdication issue with his brother and Epstein and all of this, but I don't think he's going anywhere. And then we've talked before about how, there's a good possibility that the mortal wound will happen. And it's possible, he does like to go out and meet the crowd. He likes to go out and talk to people and stuff. Maybe someone, trying to get even with the whole Epstein thing and his brother being involved, and which obviously, in my opinion, Charles is a pedo probably as well. I mean, one of his best buddies was Jimmy Savile, or Seville, however you say it, and it just seems like that would certainly be the royals in general are going to be pedos for the most part. I don't think that's a very far out type of guess. I think that's pretty much going to be pretty much spot on for the most part. So yeah, as far as does somebody try and take him out, and does that create the mortal wound where then he is indwelt by Satan at that point? I don't know. I mean, I think it's very possible that something like that could happen. So all we can do is keep an eye on things. And I personally think, based on the timeline that we've talked about so much here on this show, that that there's a good chance that if Charles is the guy, that all this is going to kind of play out in the next probably one calendar year. I mean, I really think that by a year from now, we're going to pretty much know. And right here, January 2025, Antichrist's reign begins, 3.5 years. So we can look at that closer if you guys want to, but we've talked about it quite a bit on this show. So yeah, anyway, pretty interesting, and I just wanted to point that out as far as this graphic goes. I think that's good info. I came across this article and thought it was really kind of strange. I had no idea that this was even going on. It says this cosmetic procedure to change eye color is going viral, but so are the horror stories. I can't imagine. It never occurred to me that I would want to change my eye color. I don't know. I don't know about you guys. It says don't want to be a brown-eyed girl anymore. If you're not afraid of the risks, including going blind, iris color changing surgery is the latest procedure to go viral online. Might be for you. So this is on New York Post. Obviously, I am not condoning this. I think this is ridiculous. This is just the state of the world that we're in. This is a good example. The process known as keratopigmentation involves using a laser to create a tunnel in the superficial cornea in order to place pigment. But experts are warning it could lead to many terrifying conditions, including blindness. Not to mention, it's not approved for cosmetic use. So you've got these crazy people out there who are getting their eyes the pigment, the color changed. So this is a woman who had brown eyes. You can see here, and now she has blue eyes. It says, and then as far as the horror stories go, this model traveled to Colombia, not this lady, but a different one, to change her hazel eyes to bright gray, undergoing a different procedure that uses a silicone implant. So it's a different one that's not really talked about in this particular article. Lost 80% of her vision in her right eye and 50% in her left eye. But it's fine. It's fine. It's no problem at all. I just think it's really strange that people are even doing this kind of stuff. It's a crazy world, isn't it? Man. Having your eye color changed. Weird. All right, Information Liberation. This is a site that I talked about quite a bit for a while, and then it sort of dropped off the map. I don't know why. I just stopped bringing up the page, but it really does have some good articles on it. Report: Israeli general killed Israelis on October 7th and then lied about it. Yeah, Israeli Brigadier General Hiram ordered an Israeli tank to fire on a house full of Israeli hostages taken captive by Hamas on October 7th, and then made up atrocity propaganda to justify and cover up his cowardly decision. So, yeah. Not exactly new news, but it's a good example of what was going on over there on October 7th and the stand down that occurred. So, yeah, this is Information Liberation and some of the other headlines here on that site. Passive J6 protesters can be convicted of disorderly conduct, appeals court rules. Isn't that nice? Average IQ of college students has fallen over decades, now matches the general population. So there you go. Anyway, there's quite a bit here on informationliberation.com if you want to check that one out. And let's see. On the Gateway Pundit, I've got just a few pulled up here. Biden brags about mostly peaceful pro-Trump J6 protesters being sentenced to 840 years in prison. Mostly peaceful pro-Trump J6 protesters. Yeah. Biden on Friday delivered yet another divisive and angry speech on saving democracy. Near Valley Forge, PA, Biden attacked Trump and Trump supporters in his speech. Whether democracy is still America's sacred cause is what the 2024 election is all about, Angry Joe shouted. The choice is clear. Donald Trump's campaign is about him, not America, not you. Trump's campaign is obsessed with the past, not the future. Coming from a guy who can barely speak and barely walk. Anyway, pretty funny. Says Biden bragged about pro-Trump protesters being sentenced to 840 years in prison. Yeah, wrongly. And all they did was walk through the Capitol at the wrong day and the wrong time. Speaking of which, FBI arrests 3 J6ers in a pre-dawn raid on the anniversary of January 6th, 3 years later. So the FBI on Saturday morning arrested 3 January 6ers. 3 years later, the FBI executed 3 federal arrest warrants early this morning at a ranch in Groveland, Florida, in Lake County. The FBI Tampa office said in a statement on X, the subjects taken into custody are January 6th fugitives Jonathan Pollock, Olivia Pollock, and Joseph Hutchison III. The defendants are scheduled to appear in federal court in Ocala, Florida, January 8th. No further details concerning their capture are available at this time because they will probably be, thrown in the gulag. Thrown in the American Empire gulag. So, yeah. They've been on the run since his arrest warrant was issued in June of 2021, meaning he was trying to dodge being caught because he knew he didn't do anything. I'm just guessing, but my guess is he's probably innocent just like all the other J6ers. So, anyway, they apparently caught these 3, and I guess they're going to subsequently probably throw the book at him, just like they do all the other J6ers, because they dared to question an election and show up on January 6, 2021 in D.C. Joe Biden to deliver the State of the Union address March 7th, latest in century. March 7th, yeah, it's usually February, right? House Speaker Mike Johnson on Saturday invited Biden to deliver his final State of the Union for his first and hopefully final term as president. You mean legally term. In this moment of great challenge for our country, it is my solemn duty to extend this invitation for you to address a joint session of Congress on Thursday, March 7th, so that you may fulfill your obligation under the U.S. Constitution to report on the State of the Union, Johnson wrote. Pretty interesting, huh? I'm not exactly sure why they chose March 7th. That's kind of interesting. Surprised it wasn't March 11th. Same day as so many other things, like Fukushima and so forth. Yeah, Biden's last State of the Union was a total disaster. Last year, in a humiliating State of the Union moment, Biden said refrigerators and cell phones got laid off. I don't think anybody watched it, so I think that would be news to most people. So anyway, that's on Gateway Pundit. A couple more from that site. Shock video. Another sign of the times type of story. Los Angeles bakery ransacked by 100 looters after driver crashes through the storefront. So welcome to Los Angeles. This is in Compton, though, so I guess that's kind of a joke, I guess. If you ever lived in Los Angeles, you'd know about Compton. A Latino-owned bakery in Compton was looted and destroyed last Tuesday after a street takeover. Nearly 100 looters ransacked the bakery after a driver crashed a Kia through the storefront. Man, caused nearly $70,000 in damages. The bakery was started by this guy's father and has been operating almost 50 years. What was stolen was mostly meat scales, lottery tickets, groceries, and meat. Man. There was about 100 looters who not only stole items but caused a lot of damage to the bakery. And my guess is they've all gotten off scot-free. But anyway, it looks like it's back open according to this video that's embedded here. So they must have got it repaired and opened back up again. Wow. Welcome to Los Angeles, huh? What? This is another kind of I guess, would be considered a feel-good story. At least, if you like certain sports, which I do. Watch Team USA defeats Sweden 6-2 in the World Juniors Gold Medal Championship game. Proudly sings the national anthem on the ice. This is a hockey team. USA junior hockey team defeated Sweden and took home the gold medal in the national championship on Friday in Sweden. The team's sixth gold medal in the tournament. I thought it was interesting that they sang the, right here it says, following their victory, the team put on a patriotic performance of our national anthem with smiles on their faces, displaying American greatness at its finest. I don't know. That's all in question, but I do think it's kind of interesting that these kids were allowed to do that. I guess you could do that in Sweden. And Sweden must still be a free country. They'd probably get in trouble for doing that here, though. Anyway, all right, so notthebee.com. 24 injured after subway trains collide and derail in New York City. Welcome to New York City. Another sign of the times, I guess, huh? At least 24 people were hurt and hundreds were evacuated after two subway trains collided on the Upper West Side, causing both to derail. A northbound 1 train with up to 500 passengers was pulling out of the 96th Street station shortly after 3 p.m. when it collided with another disabled 1 train, and both derailed. And I'll show you the reason that all this happened. You want to see the reason? Here it is. I'm just going to scroll down real slowly, and you're going to see the reason jump out at you. Right there. Right there. That's the reason. Yeah, can you imagine being trapped on a New York subway like that for hours? So, yeah. But at least they had their LGBTQ ABCXYZ propaganda right on the front and center on the side here of the subway cars. So, and there's Shaq saying, no, don't do it. Anyway, that is on Not the Bee. Got a couple more articles on this site. Wow. John Fetterman says there is a crisis at the border. If you don't believe me, here he is.
And allies admit
there's a crisis at the border, and I don't know how anybody could pretend that there isn't.
I don't know if that's Fetterman. I don't think he can talk that well. This man continues to surprise me, it says. So, I don't think anyone could pretend that there isn't, aside from essentially every other Democrat in D.C. pretending there isn't a crisis. He's right. It's abundantly clear to any honest person who pays attention, didn't know strokes gave people access to the based department. So I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not so sure this is the right guy. We've talked about this before. You know, maybe it is. Maybe he's getting better. Maybe he's getting past his deficiencies from the stroke. But says, I'm starting to think Fetterman may be more conservative than Dr. Oz. I'm just going to leave it to you with the Babylon Bee article again because it's great. Weird. Man becomes more conservative as he regains brain function. I don't know. I'm not so sure I buy that, but whatever. I guess it's good that the information is getting out, but no matter who says it. But yeah, who knows if that's even the real guy. What not to do when the judge denies you probation. So I would play this video, but it's got so many explicatives. I would have to beep and beep and beep. And I don't think that I want to bother with that. But the nice thing about this particular article is somebody has taken the video and looped it over and over as an animated GIF, so you can still see what happens. Folks, it says, I don't care how upset you are about it. If the judge sends you to the state pen, you simply do not leap through the air like a freaking flying squirrel and tackle her. And it says language warning. We're not going to watch the video, but here's what happens. He's literally hurtling, jumping over and like clamping down on this woman judge. Says, look, that's terrifying and terrible. It's also kind of unbelievable. The guy jumps over 45 inches of judicial bench like it's nothing. It's an unbelievable feat. The incident occurred in Clark County District Court, according to news reports. Judge Mary Kay Holtis suffered a minor head injury but was doing okay. A marshal also was reportedly injured in the incident. But look at this. It says after the attack, the judge and the perp is facing new charges of battery and battery on a protected person. Yes, I think judges are definitely a protected class. You can't really do that. Yes, what not to do when a judge denies your probation. I don't think he's going to be getting probation anytime soon. Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. That was quite the flying leap. Dozens of Miami cop cars showed up to a gang fight at a mall, but people are saying police were actually shooting a 10-foot tall alien. You can take this for what it's worth. I mentioned this briefly on my Facebook page a few days ago. I thought it was kind of ridiculous and funny because a few days ago on Twitter X, about the day that I think it was the same day the Epstein stuff was released, this was trending on Twitter. Miami Mall and Nephilim and aliens and all this stuff was trending, and it certainly did a good job of distracting away from Epstein. I think this article even mentions it. Well, it's January 5th, 2024. The Epstein list is being released, and now there's an alleged cover-up of an alien invasion. Per Newsweek, this happened a few days ago in Miami. 4 teenagers were arrested following the incident. More than 60 police cars swarmed the Bayside Marketplace in downtown Miami on Monday night to shut down a fight involving a group of teenagers who were also throwing fireworks at each other in the open-air shopping mall. Who does that? Throwing fireworks at each other. Wow. 4 teenagers were arrested in connection to the incident, as reported by local WPLG-TV. According to the suspects, arrest reports mentioned by the television station, the juveniles were causing a riot inside the mall and causing panic. But there's video outside the mall, and somehow people think that this video proves that there was an 8 to 10 foot tall shadow creature lurking around the Miami Mall. So this is the video. I'll go ahead and play it for you guys. I'm not sure if the sound is going to be anything that's worthwhile, but we'll try it. So you can see all the cop cars. You can see what's going on here, and there's a bunch of them. 10-foot alien creatures caught on camera, ? Fired at inside and outside the Miami Mall. The media is silent. Cops are covering it up, saying kids were fighting with fireworks, yet all these cop cars and air traffic stopped that night, except for black military choppers and no media coverage. So are we not going to be told the truth about why Miami had possibly the biggest police response I've ever seen in my life? This is from DC Drano. They're saying it was for teenagers who are fighting. Matt Walsh says it's frankly absurd to suggest that this incident was anything but an alien invasion. Yeah, of course. That makes sense. That's totally an alien. You can tell because it's about a quarter mile away from the camera, and the police don't seem to notice it, and no one does anything about it. So obviously, it's an alien. So who knows? I mean, to me, not. I think that it's probably much ado about nothing. I'm guessing. I don't know. I wasn't there. But yeah, it was more likely Nephilim than aliens. So you can see some of the crazy... There was some really funny tweets, though. Aliens at the Miami Mall dropped the same day as the Epstein files. FBI ain't even trying to be subtle anymore. Yep. That kind of covers it all right there. So I don't know if you guys were following that story at all. I thought it was a little bit crazy, a little bit ridiculous, and again, kind of a sign of the times sort of piece. Panicked Obama warns Biden handlers to step up the 2024 re-election campaign and operate without Biden's approval. So there you go. We need your help to ensure Joe's leadership continues to guide us forward, he says, with a straight face. Campaign needs an all-hands-on-deck moment as Obama tells Biden he has deep concern about his re-election chances. Uh-oh, he's getting the talk. You think Biden will be given a heads up that he's going to be replaced? I don't think he will. I don't think it'll really matter. I think that he will be replaced. If they're going to go ahead with the fake election, I think he probably will be replaced. And they won't even bother to tell him. And they could just take him to the fake White House that we all know that is already set up, you know, the set, the movie set. And he would still think that he's actually president. So it's really kind of a double win. Because all they have to do is tell him he won, and he'll think that he won. And he'll stay the president in his mind. Former President Barack Obama has urged Biden's handlers to bolster his 24 re-election campaign efforts as Donald Trump is poised to claim the GOP nomination. Yeah, well, we'll see. Obama grew animated in discussing the 2024 election and former President Donald Trump's potential return to power. Kind of defeats the whole purpose of everything they've been trying to do since COVID attacked back in 2020. So anyway, that's on InfoWars. So is this one. California to provide free SEX changes for illegal immigrants, which I know that's probably the first thing they want to do as soon as they walk across the border illegally. Some 700,000 illegal aliens will now be able to avail themselves of hormone treatment and gender reassignment surgeries. As of last week, California's taxpayer-funded healthcare system now covers SEX changes for illegal immigrants, thanks to legislation recently signed by Governor Newsom. The cost of the program is expected to top, how much? $3 billion with a B. Because it's so important that illegal migrants can have their SEX changed. Oh, man. What a crazy world, huh? I mentioned Modernity News last week. I think it's a good website. There's a lot here, a lot going on. This is PJW, Paul Joseph Watson's website. I didn't really pull up any specific articles, but he's got a lot here on Epstein and so forth, if you guys want to look at this. One thing that is a little curious I see that's kind of jumping out to me. We'll take a look at this. And then he does cover the aliens caught in the Miami Mall thing, too. It's kind of funny. Megyn Kelly, though, said, "We will hear from Epstein directly." Commentator Kelly raised eyebrows when she said that we would be hearing from Jeffrey Epstein directly if she is allowed to make that happen. So what in the world does that mean? It says, "We're not done with Epstein. I can tell you that for a fact. I can't tell you how I know, but I can tell you for a fact," said Kelly. "We're going to hear a lot more about Jeffrey Epstein in the coming year, and you may even be hearing from him directly. More on that as I'm allowed to tell it." So there you go, for all you conspiracy theorists out there saying he's still alive. She might have just slipped. She let it slip that he's still alive. Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing that she's talking about video, like a video recording that's going to surface or something that she knows about. I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, he supposedly killed himself in a jail cell in August 2019. We will see. We will see. I don't think he's just going to miraculously just kind of show up, just appear. But who knows? Megyn Kelly says we should stay tuned, so I guess we should. Article on vaccine impact. Why hasn't the U.S. secured Red Sea shipping routes? U.S. oil exports have increased by 1.377 million barrels a day since the Houthis started attacking ships. Mainstream media is avoiding the big story on Epstein. Yeah, because a lot of them are involved, at least in some way. Suitcase bombs kill over 100 in Iran, while Turkey takes center stage in the Middle East as World War III continues to expand. Yeah, it's not looking good. World War III spreads to Lebanon and Turkey. Hamas leaders killed in Beirut by IDF as Turkey conducts operations against Mossad spies and aligns with Iran. So, man, 2024, most Americans are totally unprepared for war. No argument here, that's for sure. U.S. at war. Look to the heavens in 2024 as World War III is quickly escalating. Space wars about to begin, ? Another Epstein associate running for the office of President of the United States. Meaning Kevin Spacey? Really? Who knows? And then the rest of these articles that are on this page are ones we covered last time, which was a couple weeks ago now. So yeah, vaccineimpact.com. And we're just about done. We've got a couple more to look at here. Not too many more. All right, geoengineeringwatch.org. We have 2 missed articles, so I'll read through those real briefly. It won't take long. Dane's verbiage here is pretty short. So January 6th, this is the one from just yesterday. Weaponizing winter weather. The full fury of winter weather warfare is being released on major portions of the U.S. and Russia. Was this the plan that was hatched at the recent COP28 Global Climate Conference? Chemical ice nucleation cloud seeding operations are wreaking havoc around the world on populations and the environment alike. Global conflict is being fomented as the total desperation of the matrix manipulators spirals completely out of control. How long till the links in the chain of our current paradigm shatter? Thank you for tuning in to this week's installment of Global Alert News. So, weaponizing winter weather, and he did embed this video. I'm going to play it just because it's striking. You know, if you have family members or friends who say this is totally normal, maybe show them this video. It's pretty crazy. Here it is. That's a lot of trails. So I didn't know if you'd seen that video, but yeah, it's embedded here on the page on geoengineeringwatch.org. That is the January 6th version of the show. And the week before that, the December 30th Global Alert News is called Chemical Blizzard. Scientists warn, doing your own research is dangerous and turns people into conspiracy theorists, according to a new report published by journal Nature. That's right, they own the science. The climate science community is sounding the alarm about the grave dangers of climate engineering operations if they were to be implemented, while still denying the fact that such operations have already been fully deployed for over 75 years. The weather makers are increasingly desperate to engineer winter weather whenever and wherever they can. Patented processes of chemical ice nucleation cloud seeding are core to the equation. What is the true extent of damage already done to the planet? Is an abrupt climate collapse scenario already unfolding? And then the latest installment of Global Alert News is below. Of course, that's from December 30th. So anyway, yeah, this whole chemical ice nucleation thing, that is why we are having anything that resembles winter. And note, it's mostly the Western countries, not Australia because they're in summer, but it's mostly the Western countries who are allowed to have cold while the rest of the planet pretty much burns to some degree. So, you know, I think that's the easy thing to lose track of in the talk on alternative media, where you'll see articles about how cold it is and how, you know, global warming, climate change, blah, 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 isn't real. It's all a fraud and so forth. No, it's not a fraud. It's just perpetrated through geoengineering. It's geoengineering that's causing all this stuff. So I'm not really one to say that it's because you have air conditioning and drive a car. I think it's mostly because they've been climate engineering for 75 years, and they've ramped it up in the last couple of decades or so. But it seems to me that that's mostly what's going on. And then you have the fact that chemical ice nucleation is used to cool the continental U.S. and to keep us cold, especially the eastern half of the continental U.S. So that is the anomalous, that is like the most anomalous spot on the entire planet that stays cold. It's because it's engineered that way on purpose, because that's where the majority of the United States lives, east of the Mississippi. And also you have most of the media that's also east of the Mississippi, New York, and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, why not keep it cool and make it as much resembling winter as possible? And that's exactly what they've been doing for a long time. So, yeah, chemical ice nucleation. Have a look on geoengineeringwatch.org if you want. Lots of information here. Engineering winter is a really good subcategory here on the website. I should know because I helped create it for Mr. Dane. So, yeah, as far as the patents go, we talked about 75 years, and the patents go back to the 1800s. You can click on patents right here, and there is quite a long list of them. So, yeah, feel free to look at that if you have the time. Geoengineeringwatch.org, highly recommended. And let's see here. I've been seeing a lot of articles, or at least several, and some videos recently of the Israelis talking about the Gazans having the right to leave. Like they should choose to just walk out of Gaza like they can't. It's not an open air prison or anything like that. No. But anyway, that seems to be a trend that I'm noticing here. I don't know about you guys if you've seen that. But it says in this particular article, Gazans have the right to leave, talking about how they're basically trying to get them to leave Gaza, I guess I'm assuming, so they can then claim the land. Israel can then claim the land, which of course we know there's a reason for that. It's because it's sitting on a vast wealth of oil in particular, and many other riches. So they want to get rid of the Gazans. They want to get rid of the Palestinians. So I don't know. I think that it is kind of an interesting thing that's, in my opinion, has just popped up in the last few days, where they're talking about the Gazans should be evacuating or leaving, like they care. They just want their land. Anyway, that's on Israel 365 News. There was a video on there that I watched as well. Let me see if that's still on here. It was down the page a little bit. I don't see it now, but it's probably still on the site here somewhere. Talking about the very same thing about how they need to be evacuating and leaving their land for the Israelis. Whatever. All right, so Yowza.com, there's a new article here on, I mentioned Planet X a couple weeks ago when we did the show. This is actually a new article from a couple days ago, January 2nd. So this is, we won't go into this tonight, but it's kind of more of the same as what I mentioned on the last show, talking about the drop in reported meteors / fireballs, and how that proves, according to what Marshall here is saying on Yowza.com, how that proves that we are in the third band right here. The third band inside the Nemesis cloud, and how the Planet X system will be making its presence known. So just a quick little summation here, I guess, of the article. And again, we'll link to this on the Substack post that I do tomorrow. It says, let's see, during 2018, Earth passed through the inner gap between the middle and inner bands. So right here. In 2019, Earth entered the inner band, which is twice that of the middle and outer bands. Nemesis is well into the hypervelocity phase of its 3,600-year lunar year orbit, and the whip is uncoiling. The whip they're talking about here is, that's what this whole article is. He's calling it the whip crack. The hypervelocity is picking up speed, is what he's saying. Says that the whip is uncoiling. It will crack when it reaches perihelion, its closest distance to our sun, in mid-2024. What will this look like? From mid-2024, we will close with Nemesis. Nemesis is the brown dwarf star that is part of this Planet X system. So from mid-2024, we will close with Nemesis, and at the same time, the sunlight side of Nemesis will highlight the gas component, which is what we're seeing here in this picture. You can see how it looks like it has wings. It's because the sun, our sun, is lighting up this gas cloud around this mini constellation, mini system, which is Planet X, which it's a mini constellation basically. It's not just one planet. It says due to the whip cracking effect, the facing edge of the Nemesis cloud right here will be vastly larger than a comet tail. At this time, Nemesis will become a regular feature in our sky, and after that, likely towards the end of 2024, the fabled wings of Nemesis will begin to appear thanks to the light of the sun. He calls it Sol, but yeah, it's our sun. So he's saying basically starting mid-2024 up to the end of 2024 is when it will really make its presence known. And I have no idea. I'm just kind of interested in this because this is something that I was talking about back in 2019 when I made my first End Times Dates video. When will Planet X make itself known? Planet X, Nibiru, some people call it Nibiru. I personally think that it is wormwood. And I know there's some differing opinions on that, but I've mentioned it here in this timeline, 2023 question mark. But obviously, this next thing that's dated here on my timeline that I've mentioned so much is August 2024. So this wormwood thing, I had question marks on here. Again, I put this together back in 2019. So trying to figure out when wormwood it would actually happen. And if Planet X is wormwood, which I think there's a lot of information out there that sort of points to it might very well be, then making its presence known in 2024 is we're really just a few months from the beginning of that happening, potentially. Talking about maybe June or after June. So I don't know. We'll see. But I just think it's interesting, and I think Marshall's putting out some good information on that. Let's see. And then we mentioned the U.S. debt clock stuff already, so we'll skip past that. I guess that was the end of the article, so we can jump over here to the Substack. Again, this is where you would drop your email in if you're interested in being on the free email list. Susan says some good videos and articles have been posted recently in Band. Yeah, and that's the Band group. The Diamond Report Band group looks a lot like this, and you can join for free. There's no commitment of any kind. You can come and go as you want. You can join. We do have to approve you to get in, but you don't have to prove who you are or anything. We just have a little process that we okay everybody who comes in so that we know you're a real person and not a droid or something. But yeah, Emily helps me with that, and also Summer, if she's here, she helps with that as well. And yeah, it's free, and we just share information in there. Really, it's all it's about. So that's what the Band group is, and it's linked to in the Substack. And pretty much all the Substack emails that I send out has the link to join Band if you're interested in doing that. It's kind of like I've kind of likened it to the old version of Facebook before it got censorship happy. I think there's a lot of positive things to be said about Band, and they don't censor anything you say. And we don't either, for that matter. So feel free to go in there and join the group if you want. Let's see. Why so many cops? Why so many cops, I guess, at the Miami Mall? I don't know. It is interesting. There was... let me go back to my Twitter page here. You guys may have seen this. And I'm not going to play it. But I did retweet it. Let me see here. This lady right here. Auntie Coulette. This is on my Twitter page, and she's talking about this whole thing with the 8 to 10 foot creatures caught on video in Miami Mall. I don't know. I mean, you guys are welcome to look at this. You may have already seen this video, and she does a good presentation here. She does make some interesting points, And I do think that there is a thinning of the veil between this world and the next, or between this world and other dimensions. I do think that's happening. So whether or not there was aliens or Nephilim or any of that in this situation, I have no idea. But I wouldn't rule it out and say, no, that's not possible. I wouldn't. I mean, it is kind of funny just because of the way it was presented, but and Twitter totally destroyed it. That was funny. But I think this lady has some. I think this lady in this video has a lot to say here that is worth listening to, and she's probably gotten quite a following, I'm guessing, based on that. And I was going to show you guys this too, actually. This is something that I came across. This is like a total departure from what we were just talking about. But I came across this video, and I was sort of, I guess, surprised by it. I'd never seen this video before from 9/11. And I know many of you guys investigate 9/11, and a lot of my good friends say, no, there were no planes involved. It was all, projections or whatever. And I've sort of always been more in the camp of it was real planes, but it was remote-controlled real planes. And that was kind of what I've always thought. I didn't really ever think it was CGI or added later or projections or any of that stuff. And this video I found on Twitter, I actually retweeted it because to me it's surprisingly amazing. So here it is. I'm going to play this for you guys, and we can listen to the audio as well. And the audio is important in this because you hear the explosion and you hear the gasps from the people on the ground or wherever they're at. Here, I don't know if they're on a boat or on the ground. But let me play this, and I think you'll be amazed by this. Here it is. I'm going to let it play again. It's pretty amazing. Okay, well, that is no projection. That is the real deal. So, if you guys, researchers out there want to believe it was a projection and not a real plane, you're welcome to believe that. But I think that video right there that I've never seen before, maybe you guys have seen it, I don't know. I think that video kind of blows all that out of the water, no pun intended. I mean, you can hear the crash. You can hear people's reactions. You can hear it flying over. All that's 100% real. And I might add, too, that just knowing what I know about technology, in 2000, they really didn't have, the military probably did have some sort of technology that could do a projection or that could do CGI, but it just wasn't, it couldn't possibly look that real. You know what I mean? And, of course, I think that video right there sort of lays waste to the whole idea that it was CGI. I think it was a real plane. I don't necessarily think that plane that hit that building was full of passengers. I think it was remote controlled. And I have my own opinions and theories on where those passengers who were on those planes, what happened to them and where they went. I don't think that they were in that plane that hit that building. I do think that plane was remote controlled, and that's the only way that the pilots could have had that sort of accuracy in where they were flying and smashing into the building like that. I don't think that any hijacker could possibly have been able to do that. But the military remote controlling a plane certainly could have. So I found that, and I thought that that was worth bringing up because the video is so incredible. I'd never seen it before. And and now for a funny. I posted this on my Facebook page, and it says, for all those people who wore a mask while alone in the car, the new outdoor seatbelt is now available. So there you go. You can have an outdoor seatbelt. I should probably start selling these. And start the outdoor seatbelt affiliate program, as my good friend Richard said. Anyway, yeah, pretty funny. But there's some interesting stuff there that I've found and tweeted out about. If you guys care to check that out. But anyway, I want to show you guys the 9/11 video. That was pretty incredible and crazy. Let's see what else is going on with the chat. If the Jesus was the mark, like AP talks about, wouldn't it be peculiar for Jesus to appear to someone who's taken that? Yeah, I think it would. And, I do think it's the technology of the mark of the beast. I do think so. But I do also think, as I've said many times, I do believe that there will be a mark of the beast law. I think there will be. And that the actual Antichrist will be the person who puts that forth. And that hasn't happened yet, obviously. I think there's a mark of the beast law, and the reason I say that, I'm not just making this up. I get that from someone that I've talked about for a long, long time, and that's Ron Wyatt. Ron Wyatt talked about that for years, that there would be a mark of the beast law, and at the same time there would be a what's called the National Sunday Laws, which I interpret to mean the one world religion. And to me, because that hasn't happened yet, then it's the mark of the beast technology, but it's still not been implemented, and not across the world, and there's no law that's been established yet. So I would only take issue with the fact that yes, it is a technology, but I don't think it's the mark of the beast law has come forth yet. So from that standpoint, I disagree. However, I do think it's coming, and I do think it's coming very soon. And there will be a law. I do think that there will be a law that will force everyone to get into that system. And it will only be to the people, hopefully like ourselves, who find some alternative method to to living outside of the system that will require your undying ability, your undying homage to join into this system, to be able to do anything, to be able to exist, really, to be able to eat, to be able to get any kind of food, to be able to access your money, to do anything, to be able to travel. You're going to have to take the mark of the beast, quote unquote. And I think the point could also be made that I've been saying for quite a few months and maybe even years at this point, showing the different batches and talking about how, well, not everybody got the same exact thing. Some people got saline. Some people got, doses of some, technology and other stuff, other crud in them, and other people got the full deal. So I don't think everybody took the same thing across the globe. And, that we're still finding out that a lot of people never even took it. So I don't know. No one seems to really know what the numbers are. And it's easy to forget that not everybody took the exact same thing. So I don't know. There's a lot to question, I think. And yeah, if Jesus is appearing to people who've taken the Ma'ash, I think that would also be another monkey wrench that would be thrown into the system. Why would he do that if they're so altered at this point? I mean, I don't know, because I don't really understand completely how long once your DNA is being altered, how long what is that process? Like, how long does it take before you're no longer human? Is it instant, or does it take a few years, or does it take a few months or days or whatever? I have no idea. But I do think it's an interesting question, something to theorize about for sure. Wow, from that angle, the plane almost missed the building. There should have been large pieces tossed around somewhere. It's not at all, and not all disappeared. Strange. Yeah, I think they did find some parts that didn't really completely go with the plane. That was one thing that I remember hearing. Maybe it was the wrong engine for that type of plane or something like that. Whereas if they would have had remote planes and switched them prior to them crashing into the buildings, they could easily have had different parts inside the planes that weren't necessarily the stock parts. You know what I mean? So yeah, the planes must have had reinforced wing structures or something. The way they sliced through those steel beams was unnatural. Yeah, I know. He said he would also see the real 10 Commandments in the tablets, Marty says. Yeah, talking about Ron Wyatt. Yeah, he did say that. That's a good point. And that's something that I've talked about a lot in the End Times Date series. Yeah, talking about the 10 Commandments coming out and being essentially made available for the entire world to see. Whether or not that happens, I have no idea. But that is something he talked about at length a lot. So I do think that that kind of stuff is going to happen. How far are we from that happening? I don't know exactly. It's something that I've tackled a little bit in the End Times Date series. Yeah, feel free to check out my YouTube channel if you happen to be on Rumble or somewhere like that. Know that the Ticket to the Lord End Times Date series is available. I think most of those videos are actually on my Rumble channel as well, although you have to search for them a little bit more because they're older videos. And the End Times Date series, though, is available on YouTube. It's a nice playlist on there, which makes it a little bit easier to find and go through those if you're interested. But yeah, those started in I was making those in the early 2019 series. I guess it was the first maybe 4 or so were done in 2019, and then some during 2020 and so forth. So that's where the whole timeline thing that I showed you earlier came from, if you guys had no idea what I was talking about. And then, the other channels that I've got, obviously, for my Rumble followers, you guys are already on Rumble, but it's rumble.com/user/diamondisc, and it's DIAMONDISC. That's my company name, by the way. And yeah, and it's also the same on BitChute and Brighteon. So depending on which platform you're interested in, I'm probably on there. Those are the what I call the uncensored versions of the show, as well as ClickView. That's another one. And those shows are easily accessible. You guys can get there pretty easily, and I link to them in the Substack post as well. And I've in the recent past, I've started a TikTok channel as well, although I'm not really having much luck with it, honestly. I didn't even put the last show on here because they've already given me a strike and removed about 9 or 10 of my videos. So I think that it's probably a lost cause, although I'll stay on there until they kick me off probably. I don't know that I'll continue to upload stuff much, but it is there if you guys happen to be on TikTok. I was trying to reach a few of the younger people who happen to be on TikTok, and a lot of people really like that in the young crowd. And I've got quite a few videos on there actually, and they've removed about 9 or 10 of them already and given me a strike, although I don't really know what the strike means. It's not preventing me from uploading other videos, so it's not really the same as a strike on YouTube, I guess. But anyway, know that it is there on TikTok if you're on there and want to join in the fun. And then, of course, there's Band, which we mentioned already. So that was pretty much it, I guess, on the various platforms I'm on. And then this is my day-to-day 9 to 5 gig, which is diamonddiscaudio.com. That's my company, my music business that I started back in 1996. So there's a lot of information on here about what I do and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I do podcast production and graphic design and things like that in addition to the music business stuff. So yeah, and then Susan says, thanks for another great broadcast. It's always a blessing to be here with all of you awesome followers. Yes, thank you guys for being here tonight. I hope you guys have had a really great beginning to the brand new year, and hope that you guys end up having a fabulous year. I hope we all do. Unfortunately, I think that there's going to be a lot of dark stuff that happens this year that's being unfolded on purpose, and in addition to that, things that will just unfold on its own. By way of just the way prophecy seems to be turning out, the way things seem to be unfolding. I do think that it is going to be a key year. I do not because of any elections or anything like that. I do think that God has His plans, and we're going to find out what they are. We're just kind of along for the ride, I guess. At this point, we're here to do a job, and that is to point people to Jesus Christ. And that's what I'm trying to do with this show and with everything that I do. So that's the reason I'm doing this show. I'm trying to connect the dots, hopefully, on what we're seeing happening in the world and in the various news headlines and things that we're seeing, and showing how, hopefully, that is also tied into the prophetic word, into the book of Revelation, and that God is unrolling things as he wants. And he is the Alpha and the Omega, right? He's there already. He's at the beginning and the end. So, yeah, the doom on the horizon makes this gathering that much more special, Susan says. Yeah, that's very well said, and I think that's very true. So we'll see where we are. I mean, who'd have thought, just a year or so ago we would be where we are now? And it's just things continue to go from getting bad to getting even worse. It's pretty amazing, actually, how things are unfolding. So anyway, hope you guys have a really great rest of your week and coming up. And I guess we will plan to be back here a week from now, which will be Sunday night, the 14th. So yeah, we'll plan to do another broadcast then. I'll try and get this one out as soon as possible. It'll probably be at some point tomorrow, usually later in the day. So maybe watch for the full video to be released then. And the YouTube one takes me an extra day or two because I have to go do the editing and re-rendering and all that stuff. So I'll get that out as soon as possible. But we'll send out the Substack post as well that has all the links and everything of all the articles that I went through tonight. And some of the videos, I try and put the videos in there, but I don't always remember to do that. So my apologies. So yeah, blessings to you guys. I hope you have a really great week, and hope it's a productive one and that you've had a good start to the new year. And I've got a video to close with here. This is actually a David Icke video, but it's just him talking in it. And I thought it was really interesting. It's called "There Are Two Types of People." Let's see if I can get this to show me what the title is. Which one are you? Which one are you? There are two types of people. So we'll close with that, and we'll hope that you guys can all make it back here again next week. And thank you guys for being here tonight. I certainly appreciate your time. God bless you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys in band or on the Substack list or whatever. So anyway, hope you have a really good one, and we'll talk again real soon.